when you do that.
Sorry, Master. I forgot you don't like flying.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. You guys remember my Phantom Menace review, but I have to go back and do all the prequels, do all the sequels, to get up to Star Wars The Force Awakens, which comes out in less than legitimately 4 weeks. That's insane, and I am excited as fuck. Now let's get talking about Attack of the Clones. Now, Attack of the Clones for me, when I was younger, I was pumped to see it. I couldn't wait. When I was a kid, I ignored all the I ignored all of the crap and all the shit that the prequels were getting near the time. You know, everybody was in denial, like me, that they were bad movies, compared to the original at least. Disappointing movies, that's a better word to use. So I was in denial. I saw Mace Windu on the front package of a Lay's chips bag, holding his purple lightsaber, and I was like, this is going to be awesome, this is going to be badass, I cannot wait. I love Darth Maul in the first movie, I love the fighting in the first movie, let's get to this movie, let's come on, let's go. This is by far the worst Star Wars movie ever made. I felt like legitimately someone who wasn't a fan of Star Wars, but just took the property and made something of it. That's how I felt when I was watching this, like Dragon Ball Evolution, how a guy who did not know anything about Dragon Ball Z just went in there and decided to go crazy, and Goku came from high school and all this shit, and then you're like, what the fuck are we watching? That's how I felt when I was watching Attack of the Clones. Now granted, it's not as bad as Dragon Ball Evolution, don't get me wrong. I just felt like I was watching, I felt like I was watching something that, and that's me now. When I was a kid, I did not care. I was a big fan of this movie. As a kid, I was a big fan, but when I look back on this movie now, I have never been so bored, I've never been so annoyed, I've never been so genuinely just disappointed by watching this movie. This is by far the worst movie. Now there are decently redeeming qualities to this movie, don't get me wrong, but overall this movie is legitimately shit, in my personal opinion.
Don't do anything without first consulting either myself or the Council.
You don't need guidance, Anakin. I see you becoming the greatest of all Jedi.
The movie starts out, you know, with an assassination attempt on Queen Amidala. This is pretty much an assassination attempt. The movie's an assassination attempt on Queen Amidala, Padme, if you want to call her that, in this movie. And we come across Anakin and Obi-Wan, who are a lot older than what they were in the first movies. And you got Hayden Christensen, who I do believe is a pretty damn good choice for Anakin. The whole movie was just a bad it was bad directing all over. It was just, every choice that they wanted to do was wrong. They just didn't make the right choices in the directing part of the movie. And it's not good to blame the actors for what went on in this movie. They were given blue screens, they were given green screens, they were given sets that weren't even there. They had to work with anything that they can do, and once in a while you'd see like an actual prop. Okay, there's no legitimate, every clone trooper in this movie is fake, they're all CGI. It's hard to work with something that's not there. So the actors I will put aside as not their fault, George Lucas's fault for this movie. So you have Hayden Christensen, who is Anakin, and in this movie, George Lucas decided to make him a whiny kid.
Excuse me. I'm in charge of security here, milady.
To be a whiny ass kid. I felt like when I watched this, I got a little bit of nostalgia because I felt like I did that at points when I was a kid. And this guy is like in his 20s, and I hate him. Like, I hate them. It's not fair. It's like he's going off on shit that shouldn't even be legitimately whining about. He's being a whiny bitch. And that's safe to say because if you watch the movie, you'll see it too. Not Hayden Christensen's fault. I'm sure he would have done a lot better if the directing was there, but it wasn't there. George Lucas is not known for working with actors as best as he can, so, you know, understandable for Hayden Christensen and Ewan McGregor. Ewan McGregor, I think, is by far the best part about this movie in general. The movie would not have worked as well as it did. Ewan McGregor is the only one who did not make the dialogue as painful as it could sound. And there's a lot of painful dialogue in this movie, hands down, by far some of the worst in the whole franchise. I will go on the best parts about this movie are Christopher Lee as Count Dooku, which he rest in peace, and
Will destroy the Sith.
And Ewan McGregor. And this is the first introduction, and this is called Attack of the Clones, so automatically you are getting introduced to the clone troopers, which will take part in the next trilogy. They're not there, they're not real, they're CGI, and it just doesn't work. It doesn't work. It takes you right out of the movie when you see him CGI falling to the ground and shit. And it's just, you can tell, it feels like you're watching the Clone Wars on Cartoon Network. Jedi Council is still sitting around in rooms doing nothing when they could be doing something, and you don't get to see them doing anything until like the very end of the movie. That's a problem. That's a really big problem because they needed to step up in this movie. I wanted to see them step up a lot more, but they didn't step up. And the villain in this movie is not introduced until legitimately almost like 30 minutes before the movie's gonna end. Big disappointment. Big disappointment. I think the main villains in this movie are Count Dooku. You introduce Jango Fett, and there's a train outside. You're gonna have to ignore that. Please forgive me. I know. But Jango Fett, to me, there's a few fight sequences in the movie where it's kind of cool to watch. You can tell it's CGI most of the time, but it's cool to watch. The lightsaber fight at the end of the movie, you know, you get built up from Phantom Menace with Darth Maul having the, you know, dual fates with Qui-Gon Jinn. That was badass. That was a great lightsaber fight to bring up a part of this trilogy. And then we get Count Dooku versus Obi-Wan, Anakin, and then Yoda. Okay, now, granted, I enjoy Yoda fighting. I enjoy it. I'm one of those guys who enjoys Yoda fighting. I think if he's going to be a Jedi, he's going to have to, you know, use a lightsaber. And he didn't have to, but they went with it, and I was cool with that. I was fine with it. I'm one of the guys who was fine with it. But the fight is like legitimately between Ewan McGregor's character and Hayden Christensen's character. The fight scene, and I'm just going to tell you now, it's like legitimately like 3 minutes tops. Maybe 2 minutes. It's not long at all. It's quick. It's like that. And then Yoda comes, and that fight's legitimately like a minute long. So quick, so disappointing. And when you can tell they're like CGI figures swinging lightsabers around from a far distance, and it looks terrible. Scene when all the Jedis jump down with lightsabers, swinging, taking out droids, fighting the villain. You know, that's cool. But it doesn't look great at all the points. It kind of doesn't hold up as well as it used to. So that's kind of bad. But by far the worst part of this trilogy, in my personal opinion, worst part of the franchise, in my opinion. It's just one of those movies that just I go back and watch every once in a while just to see what I missed. And I gotta say right now, before, there's gonna be a few spoilers in this review, but if you have not seen Attack of the Clones, I apologize. And I'm surprised you haven't yet. And I love the scene. My favorite part about this movie is by far the changing between Anakin when he realizes that his mother's been kidnapped and he goes and starts assassinating all of these sand people. Very powerful because there's no dialogue in that movie. All you can see is his facial expressions and how pissed he looks. Some of the best. It was so good and yet ruined in a matter of seconds after he starts whining and bitching again. This movie is by far the most biggest disappointment of all the franchise. And I say that with a loving heart. It's by far the worst part about this franchise. And I will give it a D-.
To counter the increasing threats of the Separatists.
Hasn't been a full-scale war.
Legitimately almost 2.5. These things that save this movie for me is I think Anakin's anger problems, it benefits when the Sand People come along. And I do think Ewan McGregor and Count Dooku, the character of Count Dooku, kind of made the dialogue not as painful. So yeah, that's my review on Attack of the Clones. It's called Attack of the Clones when the clones don't even really attack anything and they don't show up until like the end of the movie. You know. But guys, let me know down below what's your favorite part about this movie. Let me know your favorite part. I know it's not your favorite movie by far. There's probably some people who really enjoy the movie, and that's great. Enjoy it. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Awesome. Let me know down below your thoughts. Guys, as always, I do appreciate watching. Follow me on MoviePal.com. Follow me on Facebook. Follow me on Twitter. Yeah, be friends with me on Facebook. And as always, guys, subscribe to the channel, and thanks for watching.
Nothing will stand in our way. I will finish what you started.